Hello, and welcome to Rock Your Block and today's segment of First Home Alliance. I'm your host, Larry Laws, here to share with you the great things First Home Alliance is doing and to answer any questions you may have to help make your dream of home ownership a success. On today's episode, First Home Alliance will be focusing on the home inspection. Most first-time home buyers think it's just a simple thing they check off when purchasing their home. It's much more than that, and it can be really complicated. Well, we are here to break it all down for you and empower you with the knowledge to help increase and sustain the dream of home ownership. For today's episode, we have our special guest with over 17 years of experience doing home inspections and 20 years in contracting. He's licensed in the state of Maryland and owner of Perspections Home Inspections. Please welcome to our show, Mr. Alton Webb.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hello, Larry. Hello, Alton. Well, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you.
Yes, and I would like first off is you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, I'm Alton Webb, and I'm a home inspector. I'm actually a certified expert in home inspections, microbials. I've been doing home inspections for 20 plus years. Also did home remodeling for 25 years or so. And I'm a mechanical engineer from the University of Kansas. Mm-hmm. And this is what I do. This is what I've been doing for the last 20 plus years.
That's right, Alton. It seemed like you got a lot of experience there, and I understand that you said it was contracting. Well, how did you make that switch from contracting to becoming a home inspector?
Well, it was a pretty simple process because it's my belief that home inspectors should have a contracting background. I actually got injured, and during that process, the doctor told me I could only lift 10 pounds. And so during that time, I did some praying and so on, and discovered that home inspections, seen it on television programs. So I investigated and found out that I would have to take a test and to get licensed and get the insurance and so forth. This was in the state of Minnesota.
Okay.
At which point I did everything to get it, and somehow I ended up working for a traveling roof company, the Storm Chasers. Ended up here. I came to Fairfax and stayed and started my business here.
Okay. And so I understand you said the state of Maryland, and so there's some licensing requirements there for Maryland. Can you tell me a little bit more about those license requirements?
Yes, for the state of Maryland, you need 65 hours of classroom work, which is pretty much designed under the ASHI, American Society of Home Inspectors format. You take that course. It's offered by different entities. Some junior colleges in the area have it. You can go to the state of Maryland website for licensing, and there's a list of the requirements, as well as the entities where you can take the course. And once you pass the course, you'll have to get insurance for the amount of $500,000 or so. And it's a fee of $400 every two years for your home inspection license. And if you're caught, this is pretty interesting, if you're caught doing home inspections without a license in the state of Maryland, they can fine you up to $1,000 per inspection.
Wow. Pretty costly there for not being licensed.
Well, it's a pretty important thing because at some point, when I first got into it in the state of Maryland, there was no licensing at all, and there were people that were doing home inspections in 15 minutes.
Okay, and I understand that you were talking about Maryland and that license requirement. Do all states require a license?
No. Some states don't. Some are a little different. Texas has pretty much their own format. Florida has their format. The state of Maryland has theirs. State of Maryland, different ones like state of Maryland, Minnesota, they're pretty much conform to each other. But like New Jersey, when it comes to environmentals in the state of New Jersey, are pretty strict. They have some of the most stringent laws for environmentals in the state of New Jersey.
Okay, and I understand that you're doing work here in the metropolitan area. We got D.C., Maryland, but what about Virginia? In First Home Alliance, we do a majority of our work here in Northern Virginia. What about the requirements here in Virginia?
Yeah, the requirements in Virginia is pretty much you have reciprocity for the three state. Well, speaking of D.C. as a state, which it's not, but it all has reciprocity.
Okay.
But the state of Virginia does not require a license for a home inspection. It'd be good if the person that you chose in the state of Virginia had some form of licensing, because that'll give you some idea of whether or not they have the proper qualifications to do home inspections.
Okay, and you did mention even with your background and your experience in contracting, and so you're saying that really helped out, and what's the advantages of that when you brought it over to home?
The advantages of being a contractor and then going into the business after being a contractor has to do with as you find deficiencies in a home. It's my belief that if you find a deficiency, you should have the know-how to explain to your client what it takes to have something repaired. Because if you can only find a deficiency, then you're speaking to them, you're telling them like, this is broke, but they have no idea of the seriousness of this particular deficiency. So if you have the knowledge to say, this is how you go about fixing this particular deficiency, it helps the purchaser in their knowledge base for making a wise decision in purchasing the property.
Okay, and you mentioned about purchasing the property. Now, where in that process of home buying do this home inspection fit in?
Basically, what you want to do is once you contact the agent and look at homes, and then you choose a home, then that would be the time once you get a contract. Once you get a contract, then you would find a home inspector. There are some, however, get a home inspection done before they write a contract.
Okay.
And the reason that's done is so that they don't write a contract on a property that would have issues that would cause them not to purchase the home.
Now, do they do it on their own? Do they have to get permission? Who do they have to get permission to allow the home inspection to come in?
For home inspections, the agent contacts the seller's agent.
Okay.
And they set up a date and time for access to the home for home inspections. Different entities have different rulings as to how you go about getting access to properties. Like particular new homes, certain builders require them to be added to, say, the home inspector's insurance.
Okay.
To allow you a home inspector on their property. I haven't run into that problem with sellers that weren't new homes yet.
Yes.
But sometimes because people still live in homes, it's a little bit different access than empty homes.
Okay.
Because in most cases, if there's people living in the homes, usually it'll be the agent will be there, as well as the purchaser and the home inspector. Sometimes when the property is empty, only the home inspector will show up.
Okay. I know you mentioned a lot of different parties or entities that are there. Now, a home inspection, is there a cost for that?
Yes, it is. Most home inspectors base their costs on square footage per house or the cost of the house. Most home inspections average somewhere around $300 to $350.
Okay.
You would expect to pay, I'd say the average house, it would be $350, $400.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going through the process, and I understand that a person could have an inspection prior to writing a contract, but also we have the contract where maybe a home inspection is contingent or not contingent on the home inspection, and we move towards that home inspection. And you're actually conducting a home inspection. So I'd like for you to start going through that process, and what do you look for, and how do you conduct a home inspection?
Well, it's pretty difficult to say exactly what you look for in a house. The word would be deficient items.
Okay.
And what that means is if there's deficiencies in the roof, the foundation, something wrong with the windows, electrical. Essentially what a home inspection is, it has to do with structural, electrical, and plumbing issues, as well as the HVAC system. The HVAC system is pretty much under the heading of plumbing.
Okay.
When you, like what I do is when I arrive at a house, I actually look around the neighborhood to look at other properties to see if there's deficiencies with them that could possibly be with the house that I'm going to inspect. Look for creeks, rivers, things of that nature that could cause flooding or something into the house. And as I move in, I actually, personally, I walk around the house. I look at all the eaves, soffits, all the components of the exterior, look through the shrubbery, any trees, fencing, and if there's any attachments such as swimming pools, basically take a look at that. But I always advise people to get people that specialize in certain items to do inspections. Say, like if you have a well on the property, get a well company, because home inspectors really aren't trained to properly inspect wells unless they go to a well company or become a licensed plumber.
Okay.
Swimming pools, pretty much the same. I grew up working on pools, but I worked at certain types of swimming pools. They were large. They were Olympic-sized pools. Personal pools, the same type of thing applies, but always advise people to get a pool company to come in. Because what they can do is they can actually take them through the process of the operations of the pool as they inspect.
Yes.
Whereas I would look for certain things to make sure it's just operating, and I wouldn't take them through that process. Septic systems, always get a septic company to come in to do them. There's some inspection companies that put on their website that they inspect septic systems. Unless you open the holding tank and look in there and pump that thing out, you have.
Now, Alton, we're going to come back to that.
Sure.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about walking through that home.
Okay.
But before we go, we're about a minute before our break. Okay. And before we break, I would like to encourage you, my audience, to put home inspection on your to-do list during the home buying process. I encourage all home buyers to attend a home buyer education class where the home inspector or the home inspection is one of the areas covered. Homebuyer education is not just for low-income earners. Find a HUD-approved housing counseling agency in your area that provides first-time homebuyer classes by searching the HUD website. We will be right back after the break with more on home inspections. Stay tuned.
Start living the dream of home ownership with help from First Home Alliance. Free orientation classes are held the third Saturday of each month from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and lunch will be served. Classes include topics like personal finance, credit issues, the lending process, the role of the agent, home inspection, and loan closing. Don't wait. Call First Home Alliance today to register or go to firsthomealliance.org for more information and start your dream of home ownership today.
Welcome back. You're watching Rock Your Block and today's segment of First Home Alliance with our special guest, Alton Webb. Our episode today is about home inspections. And Alton, before the break, you was talking us through the home inspection and some of the things that you're looking at. Continue, please.
Okay. Well, after you get like the septic things outside, where you get outside entities to come in most cases you won't need those. But as I walk around the house, things that I actually look for, I look for foundation issues. I look for anything that's structural in the exterior. I look for pest intrusion, as well as water intrusion that could be happening, pests. And I go inside. I start in the basement. I'll go through the basement. I check all the utilities. Anything that has to do with the plumbing, where the plumbing actually comes into the house, plumbing services. The hose bib shutoffs, which is something that an inspector should tell you. Tell you where your filter is located on your furnace. You should also look for any type of settlement issues in the basement while you're there. Any cracking, especially water intrusion. Water intrusion is a huge item.
Yeah, I have a question in reference. You was talking about water and the basement, and also you mentioned electrical. My barber, matter of fact, today was mentioning that he was considering, if when he purchased his home, he may want to, have a barber shop in his basement. What suggestions could you give a first-time home buyer that's thinking about opening up a business or doing business out of his home as a barber?
Yeah, the first thing I would do is to check with the county or the municipality where the home is located and check for different code issues. Get with a contractor, a licensed general contractor, to come in and give you some ideas as to how this can be accomplished, as well as he'll be able to help you with the coding and check with the municipality to check for coding, because you're going to have to, most cases, you're going to have to do some things that would require a code, a permit. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, a permit, because you're going to have to rearrange some of the plumbing as well as the electrical.
Yes.
So any type of business to where you would have to enter those things, you would have to, anytime you change the plumbing or the electrical, you have to get a permit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And so you was finishing up on our inspection, and also we want to go through the inspection, and then I know there's a lot of things visible things that you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the things that maybe we can't see?
Okay. Well, you'll have like water intrusion. There's tools of the trade, there's moisture meters, infrared cameras, things like this that we use in the industry to detect things that are behind the wall. But basically what a home inspection is visual. So if you can't see it, you really can't inspect it. In some cases, things behind the wall have indicators on the outside. It's say like if you see frags, which is something that looks granular, it's possibly carpenter ants or termites, something of that nature, some type of insect that's behind that wall that's making those deposits. Water stains. We know that there's some type of moisture issue going on. Microbial growth, which is mold. You will find that, and that indicates some type of water intrusion, either through the foundation or a plumbing issue. Appliances give off moisture, they leak.
Okay, and you mentioned mold. Is the home inspector actually, would they be able to determine mold, or is that a different inspection? Yeah. How's that handled?
Yeah, microbials is a pretty specialized field. To actually say the word mold inside a report, it has to be listed as microbial growth. Mold can only be determined by a certified laboratory. There are like mold inspectors, which I'm certified to do. I do mold inspections, but I list everything until they come from the lab as a microbial. Now there's thousands of different molds out there. Different microbials affect people differently. Now there's Streptococcus, which most people are familiar with, which is the black mold, which readily affects asthma. This is one that you can visually see. In most cases, mold inspections are $500 plus. They're well worth the money. If you're in a house and you're having asthma attacks, or you're getting rashes and things like that, it'd be good to get a mold inspector in to come in and do a test. That way you'll have something to give to your doctor to say, well, we need to test for this, we need to test for this, because we have evidence that this exists in your living space.
Okay. And once you conduct this home inspection on site, is there a report? How is that given back to that potential homeowner? How is that delivered?
Well, most reports in today's standards, because of the digital world, you will receive a report that will have all the deficiencies listed in a particular order, like structural, electrical, plumbing, appliances, because appliances are inspected during that particular time of your inspection. You have all the deficiencies for most items inside the house. Anything that's found should be listed, and it should have photos. And some I give my report the day of the inspection before we leave. Some it may take a day or two.
Okay. Are there some safety items in that home that you may include or give some suggestions on?
Sure. One of the biggest safety things in a house has to do with fire safety. Let's say like your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. You should have carbon monoxide detectors at each hallway. They should be hardwired together and incorporated into your smoke detectors. In your smoke detector, you should have a smoke detector in each hallway as well as each bedroom.
Okay.
So that whichever one goes off, they all go off. Also, like if you're purchasing new homes and things, make sure that they have fire sprinklers. Make sure you have fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers be located in a visible area. You know, people think that they're ugly or whatever, but you need to have them 4 foot off the floor at different areas of the house. So when you need it, you can readily reach it and use it. You shouldn't have to reach under cabinets and try to search it out. You shouldn't have to look inside closets to try to search that smoke that fire extinguisher out. It should be readily accessible.
Okay. Would you actually have you're moving a family and the family's in the house? Would you actually have some type of plan if there was a fire?
And most assuredly, you always need to have exit plans, and you want to design the exit plans for different situations. Say like you want to have one for, say, if a fire breaks out even on the 3rd level, if you're in a colonial with 3 levels, you want to have a situation to where everyone knows where to exit if it breaks out on the 3rd level, if it breaks out on the main level as well as the basement. You know, everyone needs to know where you can meet up. Even after you're outside the house, you want to have a designated area to where you can meet up to make sure everyone's out of the house.
Okay. And then we're talking about homeowners again. Would you recommend a homeowner? I mean, they already purchased a home some years ago. Should a homeowner have an inspection? And if they do, how often?
Yeah, I advise having a walkthrough, a tune-up inspection, where you hire home inspectors to come through. He really doesn't give you the same type of a report, but he gives you the same visual inspection of the house. Whereas he goes through the house, there's things that you would know that he wouldn't necessarily do during this inspection. It's just like you would know whether or not your stove operates, your dishwasher operates, but you may not know that if that door is getting tight, that you have a settlement issue that's starting to show up.
Well, Alton, we're about 2 minutes before our closing. What I would like to do is thank you for coming on to our show and sharing all that great knowledge and experience. And we'd like for you to keep your calendar open and maybe be receptive to another invitation to come back.
Yes, I appreciate you asking me to come. And as far as sharing my knowledge, it's what I do. I tell everyone that I come in contact with, if they have something going on with their home, give me a call. I can be reached. No, not Yellow Pages.
Yeah, and your information is
in
right
my
there.
information packet.
Yes. Well, thank you, Alton. All right.
All right, Larry.
Yes. Well, we hope that our guests today have shed some light and answered some of the questions that you may have out there about home inspections. If you have questions related to home inspections, simply contact Alton Webb. Finally, we would like to share with you a question from our inbox, where we try our best to answer viewers' questions on housing, financial literacy as it relates to home ownership. We have an email from Manassas, Virginia. Question is, where can I find a free credit report? Well, actually, you can get a free credit report annually from each of the 3 credit bureaus by visiting www.annualcreditreport.com. Now, there is no score, and you're able to get one from each of the bureaus. What I recommend is that you get one every 4 months from each of the bureaus. That way you can keep an eye on your credit and their credit history throughout the year. If you have a question concerning financial education or home ownership, contact First Home Alliance. Tune in to our next show to see if your question was selected to be shared with our audience. If you want to find out more about services that First Home Alliance provide to the community, visit our website. Thank you for watching Rock Your Block and today's segment of First Home Alliance. I'm Larry Laws, reminding you that we're here to empower you with knowledge to help you successfully live the dream of homeownership.